Alright, excuse the mess, and we're currently trying to move all these things and all of our belongings into the RV here. But today's video is going to kind of focus on our water supply. As you see here, we picked up some of the IBC totes. I know everybody's seen these. These are about 125 a piece where we're at in Texas. And they need to be sprayed out. They were food grade. I think they had Splenda in them, but they're basically brand new. I think they came from a Pepsi plant. They're used pretty much one time, and I think the caps on the bottom are still sealed even. So I'll show you here. So under these caps, there's that going on. There's Bertman. Say hey, Birdman. And there's Charlie, as always. Hey, welcome to the PondRats channel. Today, we're starting our water. So we've got our IBC totes over here, and to catch that water, we're gonna be starting with some gutters. So this lean-to that was built on this property before we got it, never had any gutters, never had any rain catchment. We're here to fix that. Here we go. And with our IBC totes, you can't see them right now, we'll shoot you a couple pictures of that and do a video on the painting of those. We're gonna wind up stacking those in the corner here. Okay, our addition of the IBC totes and our water catchment system starts with our two totes that we've got, 275 gallons, and we chose to paint them. So a lot of people want to wrap them in the plastic bags or the tarp paper, or tarp plastic rather, that you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot or anything like that. We wanted to go with paint. So this one has one coat of the final paint color we wanted. This one is primed. It does cost a little bit more money. I'm not gonna lie on that, but we wanted a certain look because it's gonna be right next to our porch. So we wanted to kind of blend in and look good.
Now,
so a little bit of extra.
How many cans did it take to paint?
Yep, so to prime these, we used 3 large cans of primer, and that pretty much did really good coverage. We didn't take the tanks out, we didn't take the bars off, take the tanks out. I just did a really good job of kind of getting into the seams, and we wanted to just kind of, we were pressed for time at the moment, so we just kind of left them in there. And 3 cans rather, gives you about 2 coats. The large primer cans.
Of one tote?
For one tote. And then subsequently 3 smaller cans of actual color. Gave you enough coverage to, I would say, pretty much darken it up just enough to not worry about algae growing at all. So 3 cans of the smaller paint for your next final coat. That's what we did. This one hasn't been painted yet, obviously. And we'll do a video on that, and I'll show you just how maybe painstaking, you know, you can have your own opinion on rattle canning these things might be. But it worked for us. I like the look. It's not perfect or finished yet, but we're moving along.
Why are you putting those there?
Well, you got to sure up the distance to the edge of the tin on the roof, so you get a pretty even amount of space in between before it falls into the gutter. And plus, whoever built this lean-to, they built a lean-to. I'll say that. They built a lean-to, and I'm really grateful for it. But there's some issues, so we're just kind of dealing with that. We're going along with it. We're gonna have gutters. That's That's all that matters. And then we're gonna have water.
Oh, there it goes.
Two of them. Shoot me. There he is. Got him.
Go throw him in the pond.
Feed the fish. Go. Oh!
Got him.
Missed it. Oh! Yes, sir. That's what it's all about. Hey there, so here we are exactly 1 year later to give you a proper overview of our water collection system, which is our main system, or our main source of water rather, for the RV and our whole homestead. We don't have anything in place, no well, no city water, none of that. And I think it's worth mentioning that we did get a quote for a well to be drilled on the property, and it was like north of $30,000. And we could have taken out a separate loan for that, but when you broke down the info that they're giving you, there's no real guarantee that you're going to hit water, and then so the price can get out of control because you're in at 30 grand and they got to keep drilling. And we said no thanks. That was not a good option for us. Number two option was to have a water meter and line installed all the way from the main road with one of the local water companies, and to put all that in to get all the way down here to us was even more expensive. It was like 50 grand, and so that was absurd, and we said no thanks to that. And honestly, when we were looking at this property and we were back in Alaska, we really wanted to, we knew then we wanted to harvest rainwater, because that we knew that that was that first main step that got us closer to being off-grid, which is one of our ultimate goals, right? So it was kind of a no-brainer. So it's our main system. Now, there were a couple hiccups. We've been really happy with the system. It's reliable and it's been viable. It's been awesome. There's been a couple hiccups, like this last winter when it was sub-zero temperatures for like a week long. I mean, the whole pond was frozen over. You know, we had a line freeze up and one of our little charcoal filters busted. But that was it. And I think you're going to get those problems with those temperatures on any water system. So with all that said, let's go ahead and take a look at our setup. The first element is, well, obviously a roof, right? You got to have area to catch the rain. Our roof is roughly 20 foot by 30 foot, and it's served us really well for our setup. These things can be done on a lot less, I promise you that. So that's number one. Moving along, on the low end of that roof, we have the second part, which is the gutter, right? So we have 30 foot of our gutter feeding into the next part, which is going to be a leaf eater. So this is got a screen on top, and these are, you got to have one of these on these systems, because that's going to catch all your big stuff coming directly off the roof. It's got a screen you can remove fairly easily there, and yeah, and you can find these on Amazon. I think they're like 10 or 20 bucks. We'll get you a cost line up at the end there about all of these things that we kind of used, but you got to have that. The company is called Leaf Eater, the product's called Leaf Eater, I believe. Pretty easy to find on Amazon. Now, most people are going to have the next part come off of this PVC, and it's called a first diverter flush system. We bought one. They're like 50 or 60 bucks, again on Amazon. They're really good to have, and there's plenty of videos on how to install them and put them in. They're pretty simple, actually. It's just another fitting and another tube that collects all the heavier stuff getting past the leaf eater instead of flowing with your water into wherever you go in your tank or wherever. But like I said, there's plenty of videos on that if you want. We didn't have time. We were super hard pressed to get this thing going, to get some water out here for the family. So we haven't really had any issues without that thing on there, and I will put it on eventually, but honestly, a year later, it's no problem. So I would recommend it, but I don't think it's necessary. Okay, moving on. The next part is our PVC pipe. This is 3-inch piping, and just, you know, the couplings that go along with that, because the leaf eater has 3-inch, and it just was super simple and easy to go out and get a few pieces. Now your system might be a little different, your tanks may be way further, what have you. This is what worked for us, and I had my tanks in place already, and I knew where I wanted the leaf eater, so all I had to do was come out here with the piping and a hacksaw and kind of get the angles right, and because you get a little bit of play with the couplings and the distance, it all worked out. And none of this is glued, but I like it that way because I can move the system if I have to, or inspect, you know, none of that stuff. And we really don't have any leaks. And this is obviously painted, but we don't have any problem with leaks or anything like that. And it's still flexible if I need to move something, and so I really like it that way. You can use glue and the dope on the fittings, but we did not have to. A year later, everything's good to go. The next part is getting into the tank. These are the adapter caps that we bought, again on Amazon. I think these are a lot cheaper. You can get them on eBay, they're like $10, and they have this hole with the sock filter in it. So the sock filter goes in like so. There's a lot finer mesh. This is going to catch a lot of stuff. It gets past you know, your first system over there, and the pipe fits in there in the inner piece here, just so nothing really gets in there, and then it also allows for venting of your air, because if you don't have some sort of venting, you can't get any water out without collapsing your tanks, right? So your basic physics, but it's perfect. It works out really well, and I can pull this up pretty easily and then get to my filter, because you want to clean these, especially during pollen season in spring. The pollen gets in there and it creates like a cake barrier, and you know, it's not really getting past, but your water can't get past. So then if your tank's empty and it's raining and you're supposed to be filling up, it's just overflowing at this junction here. So you want to make sure that those are clean. I clean ours probably once a week or once every 2 weeks. You should do it every time it rains, really. So then after that, you can see I've got the second tank offset a little lower so we can fill our first tank, and then when this is filled, it goes into our second tank, which is right now filled all the way up. So I've got the regular cap on it. So if this overflows and it's full, it just kind of flows out of this pipe off of the top of that tank and into the yard. And it's really nice to see this thing overflow, because that's good news. Then you have, we did get a third tank after we experienced a drought last year, like right as we kind of set the system up, and just for backup. And we found that for a pretty good price on Facebook Marketplace. That was like 40 bucks. These were kind of new and they were like 125, so that's where a lot of the cost on this project came from. This is a company that bought directly from like Pepsi, and this was, you know, third party on Facebook. But that's really good, and you can see that we got a cover for that. Those are like $20. I would just recommend going with the cover. It's like 100% UV ray blockage, and we like the color, and we like the process of painting these, and the primer and the paint and the color and all that. But I would recommend probably going with the cover, unless you just really want a certain color on your tanks or your aesthetics. But that's super easy, 20 bucks, zips on and off, boom, easy. I would go that route looking back on it. So yeah, we covered all that stuff. Let's go downstairs and take a look at the second part of the system, which is getting the water out. Okay, getting the water out. Here we go. The first part would be this adapter cap. A lot of this stuff is Amazon, so here we go, Amazon again. I think you can find these at Home Depot as well, but yeah, go for Amazon, and it's just an adapter cap that fits right on here for these totes. And some totes are different, so make sure you look at the threading, fine, coarse, the size of it, and just pay attention to your measurements, and all that info will be online before you buy it. So this is the one that we have. This is just a cap adapter that fits out to a 1/2 inch garden hose, your standard garden hose adapter or spigot. And so we have a T that comes off of that one. This is always open for the tank. This is always open. There are knobs that you can't see on the bottom of this T, but we have one extra that we can turn on if you just need direct water out of there for washing your hand, whatever you need it for. But that one's closed until you want it. This one's always open, and this is a drinking water hose. It comes around here and feeds into our 110 volt AC RV marine grade water pump. These can be bought on eBay, and I think these were like 60 bucks. This has been going a year, and it's really stood up to the demand. It's been great. We have no issues with it. It's got a little screen filter you can check. Then from there we go to another Y fitting or splitter, so that we can have a garden hose here, or, you know, for an outdoor shower that we've got set up here. But we just use that when we want it with this switch. Now this one is always open, again going through feeding the system. Here's another water drinking hose. It's just a little painted, but they have, from there we have it buried underground. Alright, so you can see how the hose is coming out of the ground, going into this charcoal filter, like 20 bucks at Walmart. If you have an RV, you're already familiar with these. Just a canister filter, and that's pretty much the last line of defense before going into our tap and our shower water and all that stuff. We do have an in-house filtration system for our drinking water spigot on our sink, but that's pretty much the last line on this system. So you got your roof, your tanks, your pump, your little hose, and boom, you're in business. And after a year, we've been really happy with it. So to wrap things up, I want to tell you, you definitely want to. Oh, if you have any questions, boy, I had some questions. I know I did. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll get to every one of them because that's going to help out. And it's going to be intimidating, but once you get your materials and your plan together, it's pretty straightforward, and it'll start to flow. So, no pun intended. Now, you're going to want to come back next week as well because we've got a really good episode we're really excited about where we downscale this system out at our garden. It's a pretty small roof and it doubles as a garden shed for all your tools and storage. And we have a tote out there and it has solar watering. We use solar and it's a pretty cheap setup. You're going to want to check that out and to water the whole 40 by 20 garden out there. So we're pretty excited about that. Definitely want to come back next week. And thanks for coming by and watching this video. We're really excited to share some of these things. And like and subscribe because that's going to help us keep this thing going. And let's see, what else? What else, babe?
Water test.
Oh yeah, you're going to want to stay tuned because the end of this video is the results of our water testing we just did. After a full year's use. So I think you're going to be really interested in seeing the results of those. So thanks again. Like and subscribe. You guys have a good one. So it's raining, like a lot. And this is what happens when you have more water than you need. It's fantastic. I love it.